is the gaining and maintaining of power. So here's how these empires even grew and maintained their authority. Number one is the use of public works, holy monumental architecture. This is the time of beautiful palaces. The Taj Mahal, the Palace of Versailles. Oh my gosh, I forget all of them. There's so many. The Blue Mosque in Istanbul. The Forbidden Kingdom in the Ming Dynasty. These monumental architectures were meant to show the wealth and power of the empire, and they were meant to impress you. In fact, the Palace of Versailles, the Palace of Versailles, another palace in Germany at the time, was actually made for you to almost go through a spiritual journey, to feel like you were going into heaven by just walking up the stairs. And the landscape was heavily manipulated to show people's power over nature. The use of religion to maintain power. Now, this is something we've been talking about since the pre-classical era. It continues during the early modern era. An example is the divine right of kings. Kings of Europe, like Louis XIV, who has great calves. Louis XIV claimed to be the Sun King, claimed to be like the sun, giving life and health and growing crops. He was the state. Yes. Yes. Easily. God created everybody for a purpose. My purpose was to be king. Don't question God and don't question me. Well, they torture you. Confucian rituals. This is going to be, again, the mandate of heaven is something that continues during this time. Also, the reinvigoration, especially under the Ming and then continued under the Qing, is the Confucian Civil Service exam. It expands rapidly. And then, of course, one thing that I really want you to note is that while the Ottoman Empire and the Mughal dynasty are both going to be Islamic empires, which again will have people who are both political and religious heads, you have you have Shiism for the Safavid. The Safavid is the only Shia empire during this time, as opposed to Sunni. Treatment of others. All of these empires are going to incorporate people that don't look like them or talk like them. And so how do they treat those others? The Qing dynasty, as it expands into Central Asia, actually allows and appoints local officials to run the court of colonial affairs, allowing them to maintain a lot of their local traditions as long as they pay taxes and pledge loyalty to the emperor. And as long as the Court of Colonial Affairs makes sure that peace happens, they're happy. The Ottoman Empire takes over the Balkans, which are Europeans who are formerly under the Byzantine Empire. Their big system was the Devshirme system. And the Devshirme system was a way of controlling that Christian population by stealing their little Christian boys away from their mommies, teaching them Turkish, converting them to Islam, and training them to be the most awesome warriors of that day, known as the Janissaries. And if you weren't a gifted warrior, great, you make a great bureaucrat. So you have the Janissaries under the Devshirme system, and then of course, our personal favorite, not Admiral, but in fact, Emperor Akbar, it's a trap! Who created an entire divine faith, which made people in the Mughal dynasty, which had the others were Muslims versus Hindus. The Mughal were Muslim, ruling over a majority Hindu population. How do you do that? And so one way that Akbar does it is he creates the divine faith that puts him at the center. So you may disagree on which God, but you can all agree on Akbar. And he promoted harmony between both Islam and Hinduism. He erases the jizya, things like that. However, it's a trap, because his grandson Aurangzeb largely does away with that and actually begins persecuting Hindus, which starts a major rift between the two, which we'll see coming back to bite the Mughal in the behind later in India's history. Probably the biggest thing that I want you to understand is the use of large armies and gunpowder, but more so bureaucracies. I want you to understand this is the most elaborate bureaucracies that history had known up until this point. Bureaucracies became massive and huge. And an example of that, we've looked at civil service exams. The samurai are also an example of that. During the Tokugawa shogunate, they are no longer going to play the role of just brute and warrior. They are going to be educated, even artistic. They'll write poetry. It'd be like a WWE wrestler being known for his poetry. The samurai are going to also serve in bureaucratic positions as well. Lastly, rivalries and rebellions. One of the ones we never talk about is Oman versus Portugal over the Arabian coast. Oman eventually does defeat Portugal, which is one of the reasons why they do. Captain Jack Sparrow was a major pain in piracy. The 30 Years' War. Piracy was a major thing, which is why I have... Anyway, you get it. The 30 Years' War is a major religious and political conflict that has one of the largest loss of life in European history. It's a really fun war to study, and when all of you take AP European History next year or the year after that, we'll study it a little bit more in depth. The Ottoman versus the Safavid is going to be like the Yankees and the Red Sox, because one's going to be Shia, one's going to be Islam, and they're going to consistently compete for territory. Samurai revolts are going to occur sporadically, particularly against any sort of, especially when the Tokugawa are not allowing samurai to maintain their status, and that's going to be one thing that will occur. And then peasant uprisings, largely against the changing in tax policy as well. Can I squeeze? Perfect. We have 15 minutes. So here's what we're going to do. Like I said, this is available up on Neo. These are just things to note. Any questions as I transition us out? Unfortunately, no, Shay. Sorry. All right, go back to the Neo page. I'm going to give you an assignment. Actually, no. Here's what we'll do. Ooh. Miss Jacobson's already got a bunch. I want you to go to resources. I'd like you to go to essay formats. The first week we looked at cause and effect. Last week we looked at compare and contrast. This week we are going to look at the CCOT, the changes and continuities over time essay. So if you go to the LEQ, and you go to the LEQ rubric, and you scroll down to page 6, actually you scroll down to page 7, the essay format does not change. But what you need to do in this question is they will give you a time period. Focus. They will give you a time period, and you have to discuss what stays the same and changes in a specific place and related to a specific theme. Shay. DBQ and LEQ essay formats. So the first thing you have to do is describe a historical continuity and change over time. They will always ask you for one continuity and one change. Does that make sense? And then you have to explain the reasons why it changes. The one thing I want you to remember for this essay is you have to tell the story. This essay is fun. I think it's fun. Because you get to tell history like it was meant to be told, in story form. And you get to give it a beginning, you get to give it a middle, and you get to give it an end. So here's what you need to do. In the Neo folder, if you go to the CCOT outline, you can see I give you a sentence frame for your thesis from time period, one continuity in, main idea was, well, one change was blank. In your body paragraphs, you have to tell the story. And what I mean by that is this. You always start with your evidence from the beginning. So if you're telling what things stay the same, you provide a piece of evidence. Explain how it relates to your argument. Then, in between your evidence from the beginning and the middle, tell what happens. Whenever I think of a CCOT essay, holy guacamole Hitler. Whenever I think of a CCOT essay, I automatically think goalposts. I look at a time period. And I say, okay, what's the beginning? What's the end? And I brainstorm everything I remember, and then I try to remember some sort of major event that shifted the time periods in the middle. Usually there will be something there. For example, a really big shifter in global affairs, 1492. That makes sense? And then you do this. Then you look across, and you find yourself finding things that stay the same or change in regards to environmental, political, economic, cultural, and social. You pick one piece of evidence from here, one piece of evidence from here, and one piece of evidence from here. You explain what's happening in this time period, explain your evidence. Explain how things shifted in this time period, explain your evidence. And then explain how things ended, and explain your evidence. Does that make sense? And that's just going through here. Evidence from the beginning, evidence from the middle, evidence from the end. At the end of each body paragraph, you have to give an analysis of why it changed. The reason this was a continuity is because blank. The reason this changed is because blank. For example, if one of your changes is the development of the slave trade in the Americas, why would there be slave trade in the Americas? What caused the need for slaves? The what? Somebody said it. Thank you, Alan. Reverend Alan. Nicely done. The native population died off and Europeans needed coerced labor. So they take slaves from Africa and bring them to the Americas. Does that make sense? You explain why things change. Not that things changed or how they did, but why. Cool? Beautiful. Sarah?
Is this after you use evidence or is this the
End analysis. And you can see I've given you sentence frames here. Abigail.
What do you do for the last analysis on the third piece?
Oh, essentially, so what I mean by tell the story is what happened from how did the middle transition to the end? Does that make sense? So in between each of these, just give a little transition, right? And then you do the analysis. It doesn't even have to be a whole sentence. It can be just a portion of a sentence, a half a sentence. Okay, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to try something new. We all know that I like change and trying something new. I'm going to add an assignment. I'm going to add a survey assignment. CCOT essay. I'll allow you 2 attempts. Category? None. Grading? Extra credit. Imaginary. It doesn't matter. Wasn't that awesome? Everyone's like, whoa, extra credit points? Yeah, where is Daniel Newton? Extent. We're going to talk about periodization next week.
It's not funny when you laugh at it. It was no, it was funny, but then just when we went up, it was yeah, that's the funny not that, but now.
No. You can do it right now. And here's what you're going to do. I've given you a CTOT essay. You are now going to work on writing a thesis. Actually, I'm just going to have you write a whole paragraph out. Write a thesis and a paragraph, including evidence and analysis, for the following prompt. If you tell me to, I will. Okay? I am now going to give this assignment, and you can work on it now. Yeah, I just said now. Alan, you in the class? Are you signed up for the class? Does it make sense? I didn't even read it. Good. How did that work?
What?
That good?
So let's analyze the time period. Well, if I look at something so you're thinking
Why didn't you tell me? Do you think you'll ever
Put your answers up on the screen in 4 minutes. If you'd like to share your answers with me, you can come up and tell me. It's 8:01, so if you need to go ahead and go. Okay. Thank you. What? You can get as many as you put in, but you will minimally get 27 to 30. Yep. I mean, that's how many hours you put in. Yeah, because Solis was in charge. And Solis was giving out a butt ton of hours for students not doing it. And so now Ms. Tilton and I are actually putting systems of accountability in so that students are actually doing things. So I will say, no, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, that's about 30 hours. As long as you document it, yes. Does that make sense? As long as you document it, yes. So what we're having students not do is document it. And so they're not getting hours that they probably earned because they just... But if you decide that you want to spend more time with your freshmen, you want students to do, you will get more community service. Beautiful. That's another hour. I'm not kidding. You go and take them. I spent a lot of time eating lunch with them. You bake something for them, and you give me some sort of evidence that you baked for them and they ate it. And yes, not that you baked it and then the Apple class ate it. Well, that's the point. That's kind of the incentive for it. Give me a picture of them with the food. How about that?
It's a continuity.
You're all good friends.
Janice admitted it.
There we go.
To say that. Went in off of mine, so that wasn't me. Okay.
What was a continuity?
Oh, I feel like it was something she would.
Woo!
But you can't say who said it. Never mind.
Wait, actually, what was the
No, look,
continuity?
it's really good.
There it is. It's number 7.
Oh, there it
Number
is.
7.
Your mom.
I'm the sorry.
That was our when in doubt. We could
Same.
it's a continuity.
Is the time period is it not 450 to 750?
14 to 17?
Yeah, I'm gonna.
Uh-huh, so this has 2 time periods in it. You need to go?
No, I just wanted to know continuity before I left. 'Cause I came up
In which one, Americas or Africa?
in
I heard
America.
about your
The Americas,
gift card debacle.
Because mine
So it's a largely an agriculturally based economy.
You couldn't even find a birthday
I
card.
know.
So
That was really just
Incas-
a bad. That was
Because
a bad.
Aztecs are
Aztecs,
agriculturally based. It's part of the
and
American
then
West.
Columbus did it, and then slaves and stuff.
Mr. Osborne, can we be here tomorrow for the testing time?
I will. You want to talk about this tomorrow? Please.
Are you okay? Do we need like a
I'm
password
falling
thing?
apart at the
Probably.
seams.
Yeah, Ryan, grab one of those. Oh, if you want to pass for tomorrow's Royal Time session in here during testing, grab a pass. That was dumb. That was dumb. Are you okay?
Can't see. I can't see. My vision just blacked
Liz!
for a moment.
Man, Liz and her. Thank you, Trevor.
Bye, Trevor.
Trevor,
love
I gave you mad props to Miss Bagdanov today.
What is that, Mr. Oftedal? Oh, they were
This
doing a
is
little
what they
story.
got. This is what they got out of my review session.
Yeah, I did this based off of what you were talking about. Could you check my essay?
I don't think I ever talked about bombs or
Skateboard.
rainbows or blockbuster or pufferfish.
I think you did.
All right.
Sometime. I'm just kidding.
What's up?
I'll do this another time because I have to leave. Sorry.
I mean, I'm not grading it. It's if people wanted me to go over it. This is
Wait,
one way for me to do
are
that.
you getting yours graded too?
No.
Which one's
Could
yours?
I get
Tina?
my? Yeah, I did. Hold on.
Here, watch. I can just go to this.
Okay.
Oh, is there no grade book? That kind of stinks. So actually, yeah, you gotta do it this way.
Okay, let's see. Because right here.
Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, no worries. This one?
Yes.
One kind of economic system especially in agricultural trade production. Good. While one changed the wealth produced benefited, was that the wealth produced benefited European countries? Yes, but we'll work on that phrasing. But for
Okay.
4 minutes, that's really good. The European economic system provided more land. European national environment.
I didn't know how to phrase
I would
it.
say the reason why is because crops grown in the Americas grew quickly and quickly and efficiently, really, unlike other crops around the world. And so potatoes and maize and they're also high calorie.
Okay.
So you can say that one of the reasons they do is because it provides high calorie meal, and then when Europeans and others experience that, then it becomes even more demanded. Armand, how was volleyball?
They were pretty fun. We just scrimmaged the entire time.
I know, it looked fun. I wanted to jump in.
We don't have anything, like, we basically won already, even though we have a game tomorrow, but
Nice.
because Buena's.
Yeah. I've
Oh,
heard.
buena. Buena is not buena. Volleyball.
5 points and then probably just sit down and have some. It's fun, though.
You were setting today.
What part?
I don't know. I just saw you setting people, and I was like, why is Armand setting?
I'm
Maybe you were just throwing up. Maybe you were just throwing up the ball or something.
So the reason why
You
Europeans.
know what?
No, go on. Go.
No, it's not
No,
even-
no.
It's not even important.
Mine's not even an important question. Go.
You're being students.
No.
Go ahead.
No,
What is
I'm not.
wrong with these two right now? This is only a discussion that the Apple Academy would have. No. You go. I insist. Go ahead.
So-
I gotta go home.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No,
yeah,
it's fine.
I'll just
I'm just
I'll
tired.
blast on out of here.
No, I
was
don't
just
want you to
wondering,
blast. I want you to ask me.
So the reason why the wealth slash trade was more agricultural focused was because the maize and the corn benefited Europeans.
Yeah, not just Europeans, but anybody. It became something that was in demand.
Okay. Well, thank you.
And you're going to also say, yeah, that the Americas provided another source of cheap products for Europe.
And then should I brainstorm another change?
No, your change is fine. It's just not worded perfectly. Change is fine.
Okay.
The wording's just a little odd. It's not wrong. It's 100% correct, actually. It's just, I didn't really understand what you meant by, where were you? Here, isn't it?
I didn't know how
One
to
change was
phrase
that the
it.
wealth produced benefited European countries. I would just say in that Europe gained control over
European
uh,
control.
over Latin American economy.
Okay, so
That makes
well,
sense.
one change was that Europe gained control
Right.
over the Latin American economy.
And this is beautiful. Give me the military advantage, gunpowder, and talk about diseases.
Okay. Oh, I meant to write ecological.
That's okay. That's exactly it.
Okay.
Cool beans?
Yeah. Sorry for kind of just running in and interrupting it.
Tiffany, you are one of a kind, and that's something that I really appreciate about you. So don't worry about it.
My tutor was like driving away on his motorcycle, and I was like, oh no, I forgot the review session, so I just came right.
What? My tutor was driving away on his motorcycle.